America's Airborne Beavers. Now, I'm reading this title and I'm currently thinking, has America seriously deployed Airborne Beavers? Operation Beaver Drop dash. Yes, this actually happened. Okay. They were reacting to Fat Electrician. To this day, I still feel bad saying that. He's not fat. He's well built. Either way, thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support on the little channel of ours. If you're new here, my name is Adam. Feel free to like and subscribe around here with notification bell on, because YouTube does that thing where they don't really notify you to all of the videos that are going out because you need to manually select all noties.
This is easily one of my favorite stories of all time, and it is the epitome of it's not stupid if it works.
That's so true, man. That is so true.
A bunch of World War II veterans that worked for the Idaho Fish and Game Department got assigned the task of relocating a bunch of beavers to a different habitat, and they decided that the cheapest, safest, most cost-effective way to go about that—
Don't say it. Don't say it, man. Don't you say it. Do not tell me they threw beavers out of an airplane with a parachute.
—was to strap them to parachutes and throw them out of a plane.
Chapter 1. Nice beavers. We all like nice beavers. Sorry, bad joke.
All right, let's just take this from the top. Beavers, okay, one of my favorite animals. Why? Because I believe it is the animal that is most similar to humans. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, what about monkeys? What about apes? What about chimpanzees? They've all got thumbs and they poke shit with sticks and they eat bananas just like people do. That's fine. I understand that they're very similar to people, but beavers are the most similar to humans in spirit. We are the only animals on the planet with the audacity to walk into a new ecosystem and be like, wow, I hate everything about this. I could A, migrate, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with option B and change everything about the world around me to make it suit me better and fuck everybody else. Now, do I enjoy—
That's an absolutely valid point. That is, because that's exactly what human beings do. They fuck everything up all the time, every day.
The wetlands that beavers create with their dams? No, it's not my jam. However, game recognized game, because when a beaver sees running water and is like,
"You gonna do this? Okay, fine." That's all I needed for him to do that, and it became personal with me.
It's no different than when it's July and it's hot out and I decide to turn my air conditioner on so I can domesticate the wind so that my balls aren't hot, okay? It's about changing the environment around you rather than changing yourself. Okay, it's just that species-wide main character energy of, I don't need to evolve anymore, I'm perfect how I am, I'm going to evolve the world around me to some shit that I like more. So, while I have a great childish respect for beavers, unfortunately for the beavers, between the 15, 16, 17, 1800s, their furs made dope-ass hats and they were really popular all across Europe, and the beavers—
Wait, what? I did not know that, man. People run away with beavers in their fucking head.
Beavers were almost hunted to extinction for their pelts. Okay, and as I'm sure you can imagine, no beavers means no beaver dams means no wetlands, and no wetlands messes up the entire ecosystem. Okay, we can't have it. We got to quit killing all the beavers. So the early 1900s, people realized this. They put protections on the beavers, and we quit trying to hunt them to extinction and actually try to help encourage their population to build back up. Okay, fast forward like 50 years, 1945, 1946, right around then. All the young men that went off and fought World War II are coming back home. They got a bunch of money from fighting that war. They want to get a wife, build a house, have some kids,
American dream.
Things. So they start expanding. And one of the places this happens in is a town called McCall, Idaho. And they start expanding and the town gets bigger and bigger. And eventually it displaces a bunch of beavers that have been out in the woods doing beaver things for hundreds of years. And these new beavers get displaced and they go out and they start fucking up a bunch of farmers' fields and irrigation systems. And it gets to the point that the people in the town are just going to start shooting these beavers because they're messing everything up. At this point, the Idaho Fish and Game Department, presumably also full of World War I and World War II veterans, steps in and like, no, we're not gonna kill these beavers. These guys are awesome. They do a lot for the environment. We're gonna take them. We'll move them somewhere else where they can thrive.
We're not killing beavers. We're just relocating them.
So here's the plan. They're gonna capture the beavers alive. They're gonna drive them as far as they can on roads, and then they're gonna pack them in on horses and mules, miles and miles into the wilderness where they're not gonna be near any humans ever. And this is a complete disaster pretty much from the start. They capture the beavers alive, stick them in a cage, throw them on a truck, try to drive them hours and hours into the wilderness. This is really hard on them because beavers, they're a lot like me. I like to sit in my house in the air conditioning. They like to sit in their dams.
That's so sad. So the humans have came along, decided, nah, these ones are fucking doing our heads in. They are annoying as shit. They're wrecking the place. So we're basically just took them out of their little home and threw them into the wilderness, somewhere they don't know, somewhere they don't live. Aw. Man, that's sad, bro.
In the nice, damp, wet environment to keep cool. Beavers can't keep cool on the back of an unair-conditioned truck in the mid-1940s. A lot of them are getting heat stroke, they're passing out, they're dying, they quit eating, or they get super agitated and they're very combative the entire time. because they're hot. Then, even if the beavers do survive the truck ride, they're all pissed off and angry, and now they're getting strapped to a horse or a mule, and that pisses off the horse because he's got a bunch of angry beavers all over him, and now the horse is pissed off, and the whole thing just... it doesn't work. So now the fish and game department is like, well, what are we gonna do? We gotta save all these beavers. We wanna get them up in the mountains so they can build their wetlands. It's gonna help protect the town from flash flooding. It's gonna prevent erosion. It's gonna be great for the environment. We gotta save these guys. And one guy at the fish and game department presumably is like, I mean, I got an idea. Hear me out. We do have an awful lot of extra surplus parachutes from World War II laying around, and we've got a plane. Okay, now to us in 2024, this sounds insane, but you gotta remember, this is 1948, okay? There's no OSHA, there's no like rules and regulations, and it's in Idaho, which is basically the middle of nowhere at this point.
Jesus
Nobody's telling these
Christ.
guys what to do. A bunch of World War I, World War II veterans are like, huh, it's actually a pretty good idea, Jimmy. You know, it did work at Normandy, and the beavers aren't even gonna have Germans shooting at them, so I mean, pretty high likelihood they'll be fine.
The
Let's
people
try it.
doing that are the Germans.
So, first order of business, we got to develop a
damn.
box that opens
See what
up
you did
once
there.
it hits the ground and gets the beavers to the ground safely. Pretty simple. It's basically two halves of a box with some holes drilled in it. They weave the rope through. Once the parachute lands, there's no more tension on the rope. The box just kind of falls open. The beavers get out and start doing beaver things. So first we're going to test it before we put any innocent beavers at risk. We're going to take some empty weights, put them in the boxes, go up in the plane, drop them over the practice field, see how it goes. Goes fine the first couple of times. Okay, let's
This is
try it with
madness.
one beaver just for practice. So they go ahead, they pick an older male. He's out of his breeding prime, potentially dangerous to
Yeah,
some of the
please tell me you put them into like a cage. Please don't tell me they're strapped to a parachute like around their back or something. I beg.
younger males. If something does happen, he's lived out most of his life. They name him Geronimo because they're a bunch of meatheads and that shit's funny. So they put him in a crate, they take him up in the plane, drop him off over the practice field from 800 feet. Geronimo makes it and survives. Now, obviously, we're not going to put all our beavers in one basket because of one successful test run. We need multiple test runs to be certain that this is going to work. And now that Geronimo is technically our lucky beaver, he's going to do it again. So he does. Geronimo does it again.
Yo!
And again. And again, and he keeps jumping. Like
Geronimo
more than
going
12
through
jumps
it.
this beaver makes. And by the end of it, the parks employees reported that Geronimo would actually run up to them and help them put him in the crate because he was ready to go again.
He was loving it.
Buh! This is animal abuse, and what if one of those boxes didn't open after the parachute landed? Buh! Okay, first of all, no it isn't. I've already went over the options. A, they could stay where they were at, being displaced, and end up getting shot by farmers for messing up their crops. B, they could spend days in transit on the truck and on a pack mule,
Hey.
suffering and potentially dying.
A dried out beaver is never good.
Or C, we can throw them in an airplane, fly them there in 15
band of
minutes, and then
beavers.
throw them out the side. They can get their jump wings while they're doing their Band of Beavers reenactment, okay? It's literally the best option. Okay, secondly, why are you worried about the box not opening? Like, did you think about this at all? It's a pine box, and that's a beaver, okay? Literally the only animal in the animal kingdom known for cutting down trees with its fucking face. I have the utmost confidence that if one of those boxes malfunctions, the beaver is gonna figure it out. All right, so now they have their beaver delivery method. They develop a plan. They pick out a bunch of different locations all over this wooded area
Wait,
where
what?
they're gonna be
Wait, let me see that. The no beaver area, reintroduced beaver area. Okay, all right.
area
Never
where
mind.
they're gonna be able to drop these beavers off in groups of like 3 to 5, 2 males, 3 females, 1 male, 3 females, something like that, enough that they're going to be able to rebuild their own little colonies, but they're going to be spread out enough that they're not going to congregate into one thing, and it's going to be a humongous boost to the beaver population. This is what conservation's all about. So they get that all
Facts.
figured out, they have the plan in place, they know the delivery method, now they just got to
Yo,
go
bro, I ain't gonna lie, man. I want this. I want this.
method, now they just got to go catch all the beavers. So they go back to town, catch them all, there's 76 of them.
like running
They
around
take 'em back,
town,
they start
1940s
loading 'em in
catching
crates,
Pokemon.
and they're going to take them up in the plane and throw them out the side. And here's the best part
Please
about the whole
tell me.
thing. They filmed it.
Into the drop box. Nearly ready for that flight back into the mountain.
And this is where you can really start to see that this is a different time. I mean, look at this
Oh, God.
absolute Chad just manhandling this beaver into that crate with no safety equipment, no gloves, no eye pro, nothing. If this were modern day, that guy would have leather protective gloves up to his elbow. He'd have safety glasses with a hard hat, with a face
This is
shield, with a
wild.
leather apron. He'd have 2 dudes holding his hand while he did it just to make the safety guy happy. No, this is just some angry war veteran throwing a beaver into a box like it's
Doesn't
another
give a
8-hour
flying
workday. It's
fuck.
fantastic.
No pun intended.
That's it. They get the beavers loaded up on the plane takes off, they drop all the beavers and they're
Speaking of beaver, I stream on Twitch. If you guys are interested in joining our little growing community over on Twitch with a bunch of like-minded people, a bunch of new mates, a bunch of new friends. There's a link in the pinned comment down below. It's up to you. Appreciate you.
Drop zones. 75 out of the 76 survived. I don't know how they know this.
One
I'm assuming
died?
they had people on the ground at the different drop.
Bro, hold on a minute. Wait.
75 out of the 76.
This beaver has just come out of that box wondering what the fuck has just happened.
Survived. I don't know how
Bro,
they
there's
know
no
this. I'm
worries.
assuming they had people on the ground at the different drop locations to make sure the box is opened or that the beavers made it or whatever. But apparently the one beaver that didn't make it had somehow either slipped through the crack when the rope was loose or eaten his way out of the box after they let it out of the plane. And the beaver was last seen standing on top of the box with the parachute above him. And he probably would have been fine, except when he got 75 feet off the ground, he decided to jump.
Bro, sometimes you see animals doing this certain stuff, and you see animals just being animals in their natural habitat out in the wild, and they're like so smart the way they go about things. But when you hear this, it's just like animals are also so fucking stupid, man. I mean, you're on a parachute. They don't know it's a parachute, but they know they're going down. Surely if they just look down, they can see they're getting closer to the ground. Or the ground's coming closer to them. What possesses their mind to think, you know what? I'm a jump.
So on one hand, that's kind of sad, but on the other hand, you know, natural selection. If the other 75 beavers figured it out and you didn't,
GG's.
probably on you. On a happier note, though, the boys at the Fish and Game Department decided to hook up their lucky beaver, Geronimo. This is posted in the Journal of Wildlife Management, Volume 14, Number 2, April of 1950. The article, Transplanting Beavers by Airplane and Parachute by Elmo W. Heater, Idaho Fish and Game Department, McCall, Idaho. And I quote, Geronimo had a priority reservation on the first ship into the hinterland, and that with 3 young females went.
So not only is Geronimo jumping first, he bringing the women. This old dog, bro.
With him. They had to hook up their boy.
They
And
did.
he made it. Apparently, they went to check in on him a couple years later, and his new colony was, and I quote, very well established. And Geronimo was not unique in that, because pretty
Dirty
much every
bastard.
drop zone ended up turning into a thriving beaver colony in the following years.
They dropped
because
and they
kept
got their
tabs
shit
on this
going, bro, if you know what I
entire thing.
mean.
And not only did it work, it was also super cost effective, because according to this journal, the cost of transplanting one of these colonies was $30. It was $2 for the box, $16 for the surplus cargo parachute, and the flight time, man hours, and fuel totaled to $12 for
How much is that in today's currency, though?
a total of $30 per colony. And just to be clear, that's the actual crazy part about this story. It's not the fact that they actually had airborne beavers to go save the environment. No, that seems pretty reasonable. The crazy part is that these guys back in the 1940s managed to get the job done, have fun, and record it, and they did it for like $300 to $500. Because we all know in modern times, if they wanted to do this, there'd have to be like a 15-year-long environmental impact study that costs the U.S. taxpayers $25 million just so that the government could determine that if you drop beavers off in the forest, they will in fact do what beavers do.
Yeah.
And then once the government goes ahead and says it is in fact okay to put beavers in the woods, it's going to take another 10 years for Lockheed Martin and Boeing to bid on the contract worth $100 million to relocate 100 beavers into the woods.
Is it just me, or was that the stupidest thing we've ever seen?
Sorry, I'm ranting. In conclusion, the
You're not
moral of the
wrong,
story
though.
is if it sounds
You're not
dumb,
wrong.
but it works, it's not that dumb. And sometimes it's ridiculously cost effective to just let people do their job. Also, beavers are cool, and airborne beavers are even cooler. And this has been the story of America's band of beavers, the airborne paratrooper beavers that went in to save the environment. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over to fatelectrician.com.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm buying some merch right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to buy something offline. Either way, I thank you for being here. Thank you for watching to this point. Before you go, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. You have yourself a good day. Peace.